Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. And why do I have Operation Crusader? What I remember is the Battle for Tobruk, 1941, up on the screen because in, I guess, the early 80s, this was my attempt at learning about wargaming. I started picking up war games. I'd already been playing D&D for a number of years. I was introduced to AD&D winter of 1979, 1980, and I was hooked. And I always heard about the wargaming roots of D&D. And I bought Operation Crusader and really couldn't get anybody in my gaming group to play this shit. Because war games were one-on-one, right? We were generally playing as a group. So that was part of, I guess, the issue, you could say. But the other issue is that none of us had come in from a wargaming background. I did a video yesterday on the BrOSR, okay? And I'm going to do a follow up at some point on Braunstein and see where some of the roots of the BrOSR show in Braunstein. But the thing with the BrOSR is it's all about integrating to a large extent, not everything, but they're integrating wargaming aspects um, to D&D. And the thing is, the reason why that's so foreign to many of us, if not most of us, even those of us who have been gaming for 50 years, damn close to it. The issue is we didn't come in from wargaming, okay? D&D did not need a history in wargaming. The biggest thing about D&D that was a confusion, besides the dice, was the idea of the map, right? The map was drawn. Mapping, you had the designated mapper. We did do that. We didn't have a caller. We only had groups of 5, 6. I mean, even when I was running with groups of like 10 in, I guess, the mid 80s, we didn't use callers because we only experienced that once when we played with a group of older college age individuals, those that had started out with white box. I didn't start with white box. I started out with AD&D, not even basic. So we learned from others that had never played a war game. So that wargaming mentality was not there. So when you look at folks in the BrOSR, there's this wargaming aspect that is brought into it. And I'm not saying that's wrong. But that is generally not how AD&D or D&D, especially not basic, was played back in those days. Now, I'm not saying that nobody played it that way. Certainly those groups did, especially those that have roots in wargaming. But for those of us who came into RPGs, D&D, and later on games like it, like Tunnels and Trolls, Traveler, RuneQuest, the idea of having this large group of hirelings and henchmen, we had henchmen. Henchmen was one of those things that we gravitated toward early on. Everybody had like one. And they didn't often adventure, but they were there. If you had a short group, you only had 3 or 4 players, well, then the henchmen were coming along to pick up some of the slack. But the way adventures were written as published back in the late 70s, early 80s, I think that those in the, and remember, most of us learned from example, right? That's how we learned. And the examples that we were given were tournament adventures. And in these tournament adventures, you weren't having henchmen, you weren't having hirelings. right? That wasn't what you could have pre-generated characters, certainly. And I often use pre-generated characters from lower level adventures for NPCs and sometimes henchmen. Usually they were too high in level. But these modules that you could buy didn't give examples of generally hiring henchmen and hirelings. That wasn't the assumption. So there is with the BrOSR, and I'm not saying that they're playing it wrong. They're playing it right for them, but that doesn't make the way everybody else is playing wrong. And certainly when I play now in my 50s is not how I played in my teens, and I think that's something else that we forget. Okay, I came into gaming at the age of like 13. My goals from a gaming session at 13 and my goals from a gaming session at 57 are greatly different. You know, certainly when I was younger, it was all about getting my character the most powerful. I was a teen. We were all in between adventures, uh, tweaking our character sheets. One of the biggest solo adventures to run was a deck of many things. I did that in many a car trip. It's like, oh look, free experience points. Oh, new weapon. Where did that deck of many things come from? Oh, don't ask questions. Don't worry, but it's on my sheet. So I never got to really enjoy Wargaming. I played a few on the Commodore 64. Was it Panzer General? Some Civil War ones. Certainly did. But I couldn't find whether it was high school or college or New York or the Poconos. Nobody wanted to try war games. I still have war games in the closet from the early 80s that maybe played once, they were punched out, and that's it. So to claim that this is how things were meant to be played is certainly interesting, but it's kind of like revising history. I'm not saying it wasn't played that way, but didn't make it any more right than the way others were playing it. That's my observation. So, again, gaming to some is a bit more like a religion. You've got heretics, and listen. If we have heretics, 4E was a sign of the devil, right? I mean, that was D&D in name only. But I can see roots of old school gaming even in 5E. Even if I don't really like the system, I can still see the roots. It's still recognizable, even if I wouldn't want to play that system. But you'll play what you want. Yes, for some people, bad, wrong, fun is a thing. It can't be if you're playing it bad, you're playing it wrong. Even if you're having fun, no. So I know there's a response video out for yesterday's video. I haven't seen it yet, and I probably won't see it until tomorrow because, sorry, folks, Jets game. So, folks, I canceled my StreamYard subscription today, so I've got probably about 4 weeks of it left. I've already purchased Streamlabs at $12.50 a month, much cheaper than what they wanted from me from StreamYard, and I've been playing with it, and it seems to be pretty good features. The virtual green screen is not nearly as good as StreamYard. I know folks are going to make fun of it. It isn't good at all, perhaps. But there's a lot of bells and whistles to Streamlabs, and I'm going to be playing with them over the next couple of weeks. So you're going to see some changes in layouts as that transition happens, and the transition has to happen. I'm not paying twice what was paying for the same features. You can go screw. So change will be gradual. I'll probably get a chance to play with it fully starting next week, but you may see some videos coming out. You may see some random live streams popping up in your feed. If they do, I'm playing with it. What I do happen to like is that you can have the live chat on the screen, no matter where it's coming from. So, and that's great for those like me. When I watch live streams, I often watch them on my TV set, much larger screen, and then I got to have my phone to follow the chat. Now I won't have to do that. So, all right, folks. On that note, there's a link on the bottom of the screen. 10 cards there. It's tavern.games/Gygax. It's got lots of OSR, 5e, Call of Cthulhu, Castles and Crusades, D20 era, third edition stuff. There's a little something for everybody. But if you're an OSR gamer, it's all easy enough to convert. So, on that note, be safe, be well, God bless, roll this dice, roll them well. Go Jets. And talk with you all again tomorrow. I'll catch you later. Be good.